I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich, okay? We need to get out there, use your weapons, and rip Washington apart.
Good morning, everyone. It's August 28th, 2018. I'm Eric. How's everyone doing this morning? I hope you're all well. I'm here at The Root. Another article by Michael Harriot. The Constitution is for white people. Why white bullets are worth more than black lives. He starts with a quote from Roger Taney in 1857. It is difficult at this day to realize the state of public opinion in relation to that unfortunate race which prevailed in the civilized and enlightened portions of the world at the time of the Declaration of Independence and when the Constitution of the United States was framed and adopted. But the public history of every European nation displays in it are in a manner too plain to be mistaken. They had for more than a century before been regarded as beings of an inferior order and altogether unfit to associate with the white race either in social or political relations, and so far inferior that they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect. And that came from Roger Taney, 1857. So this article is about how white people value the Constitution or the Second Amendment more than the lives of black people. Okay. So, first thing we need to say is the United States of America was never meant to be a melting pot. There are a multitude of quotes from everyone from George Washington all the way up to Abraham Lincoln reflecting this fact. So, you know, the Constitution was indeed written for white people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it cannot be applied across the board, right? They don't say specifically in the Bill of Rights that these rights are only to be extended to white people. He says, while it is true that the U.S. Constitution does not mention race, in 1857, United States Supreme Court Justice Roger Taney wrote the above statement for the court's majority opinion in Dred Scott versus Stanford, the case of a black man who sued for his freedom based on the fact that he was enslaved in a state that prohibited slavery. And instead of deciding the merits of the case, they ruled against an act of Congress for only the second time in history. The court decided that white people were so far superior to black people, the Constitution never intended to recognize them as citizens. And again, this can be reflected through quotes from our founding fathers all the way up to Abraham Lincoln and beyond. Or even humans, and as a consequence, black people had no legal standing to sue in court. And that's a terrible decision. They should be able to sue just like us, but nonetheless, it was made, right? In the wake of another mass shooting, this time at a video game tournament in Jacksonville, Florida, conservatives are once again circling the wagon around to protect their constitutionally guaranteed gun rights. And here's the thing about that is black people benefit from the Second Amendment too. Black people benefit from guns altogether. So this is a hypocritical hit piece on the Second Amendment. He says that they've offered their thoughts and prayers and warned Americans not to politicize the deaths of innocent victims. And he says that they died because of our love affair with guns. And here's some of the tweets. After mass shootings, the victims' families beg for sensible gun reform, but Republicans say the tragedy shouldn't be politicized. After one immigrant commits a crime, Republicans politicize the victim's death, despite the victim's family begging them not to. And both sides are equally guilty when it comes to politicizing things that should not be politicized. Black people think they're heavily mistreated now. And to a degree, some of them are. But you remove the Second Amendment from our country, you will see a whole new level of tyranny. You'll see a whole new level of people being gunned down in the street. I mean, look how poorly we are treated now while we have the Second Amendment. Just think of how badly black people and white people alike would be treated if the population were to be disarmed. Just think. What happened to other populations that were disarmed, like the undesirables there in Nazi Germany, like the Great Leap Forward, like the Bolsheviks. Each of these serve as a reminder of what happens to a population who is disarmed. They are killed en masse. That's what happens. And almost without fail. And of course, it does fit the agenda, the anti-white agenda, where white people want to be law-abiding and follow all the little bullshit nuances the government gives us to jump through in order to exercise our rights. It's not just the Second Amendment, it's all of them. They want to be seen as, you know, pillars of their community, so they jump through every hoop and do everything that they are told in order to exercise their rights, while others, they do not follow the laws. They do not believe in asking or begging for permission to be armed. And they're going to have the weapons whether or not gun confiscation occurs. This individual calls what happened in Florida an act of terrorism. It was not an act of terrorism. Terrorism has to have a political element. The kid was mad because he lost in a tournament. Has nothing to do with politics. And yet, they call it terrorism. They call the attack on Molly Tibbetts terrorism. And it's not. It's just a crime. Right? Here, the following acts of terrorism, like the New York bike path attack, Republicans disregarded the constitutional edicts governing freedom of religion by advocating for tough immigration and anti-terrorist laws after the death of Molly Tibbetts. The GOP immediately disregarded due process and used the fact that the man accused of killing Tibbetts is allegedly an undocumented worker to push their ethnic cleansing, child snatching, and political agenda. And, of course, both sides are guilty of using these events as a way to diminish our rights further. They do snatch children, but this ethnic cleansing bullshit is being stated in reverse. It isn't the Mexicans or the immigrants who are being ethnically cleansed. It is white people, and the numbers reflect this. So, I thought I would share this with you. I hope you all have a great day. You remember, kill the state before the state kills you.